Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
When did you stop giving a fuck and why? I figured out caring about everything isn't good for my mental health. I want to care about nothing but I can't. I keep caring about too many things against my own will. Caring is will, so it can't be against your will. All this means is you have conflicting desires. You want to have some desires fulfilled, but you also want to be free of those desires. The latter is achievable with some introspection. I was able to realize, for instance, that many desires I used to have in terms of career, relationships, hobbies, were actually my parents and my peers, because I had the deep desire to please my parents and be accepted by my peers. Once I realized that, I said, fuck it. And I started to investigate my actual desires and pursue those. It still causes a little pain when I think about being rejected. But I don't care. A life lived in fear of being rejected by others if you don't meet up to their expectations, while denying your own true aspirations, is not worth living, in my opinion. And it turns out, most people I know supported me in my choices. And I don't spend time with those who don't. After my mother died of stage 4 lung cancer, people would be amazed at how tiny everyday life issues become in comparison to this emotional behemoth. Same, but my mom's was brain cancer. Then my dog died. Then I also think died. Day-to-day life is pretty easy to navigate if someone isn't actively dying. I've cared about COVID though. Was scared it would get my dad. Didn't, though. Smiley face edit, that was kind of a typo on my part. I didn't think I almost died. I physically almost died from sepsis. This was a while ago now. I'm doing well, not giving any fucks about day-to-day stuff still though. And yes, I'm in a part of Canada that handled COVID-19 things very well. Or at least didn't get hit very hard. I'm of course still vigilant. But that worry I had in March for my loved ones and myself has dissipated. About 2 years ago I had a revelation. From birth to death, nobody has to spend more time with me than I do myself. Therefore, the only person's approval I have to have I my own. It has allowed me to quit worrying about shit I can't control and say F the BS to any negativity that may come my way. When I turned 30 I realized I was pretending to give a fuck for the past 5 years. All the time, creating fucks in my head so I could give them. Because I thought that was the way humans must deal with stuff. So I decided to embrace the fuckless person that I became. And stopped giving fake fucks completely. So now I just honestly don't give a fuck anymore and don't feel bad about it. When I realized that no matter how nice and patient and understanding I am, people will still leave and I will still be perpetually treated like shit. The amount of times I've literally just let people punch me in the face and I have done nothing. To be the bigger person only to see that it did nothing but make that person feel as if they have no consequences to their actions is what really made me realize that being the bigger person is a load of horse shit. It was after I tried to kill myself by taking 35 extra strength Vicodin. But that's another story. I went to my shrink to avoid getting sent to the mental hospital and she changed my life. She pointed out that now that I knew I could cross that line and kill myself, I could just do whatever I wanted, and if everything went to shit on me, I could just kill myself. On that day, I stopped giving a fuck about what anyone wanted but me. I filed for divorce, came out of the closet, and 2 months after that, met the love of my life. We just had our 15th wedding anniversary, but I haven't given a fuck in a long time. What I want and how I want to live my life is all I am concerned with. As for the other guy, he comes first, right after me. When someone threw a traumatic event that happened to me in my face because they thought I was lying, their sister ended up backing me up, but at that point I was just done trying to help people that didn't treat me well. I will help you until you hurt me. But I was done letting people walk all over me. Early 20s. Was working security, as a corpse mover, and an EMT. Worked far too many hours for far too little to deal with far too much and treated like shit every step of the way by the public and my companies. When I realized adulthood is just endless grinding and leveling up. When I realized how so many people are absolutely full of shit. When I realized all the tough guys were mostly wormy little bitches. When I realized all the motherfuckers who'd been gaslighting me were dead wrong. When I realized we're all specks of dust in the middle of fucking nowhere. What's worse for me is the fact that I realized this only at the age of 20 now. The naive little bitch that I am. The last line is a realization that has helped me a lot. Whenever I feel like shit, I just go outside and stare up at the sky, preferably nighttime, and realize that we're so bloody insignificant. It expands my mind to believe that my life is not everything and it shouldn't be all-consuming. When, after my first acid trip in 1998, I took acid and realized not many things actually warrant me giving any of my fucks away. Yeah, same thing happened to me as well. After an hour of talking about salt with my friend, I realized we are just nature as well and just need not worry so much because there will always be something better after a bad event happens, from spilling your pineapple pizza onto your assless chaps to coping with the loss of a loved one. Oh, also I experienced ego death on acid and actually thought I had frozen to death and was floating through space, but it turned out I had just closed my eyes in bed and forgotten to get a real blanket. Was actually fucking terrifying, but ever since then death hasn't scared me and it's something I've already accepted because of that experience. Acid is fucking weird. In 7th grade we had a science fair. Everyone in the class had to put together their own experiment to present at the fair. I play the bass, so I decided my experiment would be around testing out different types of strings and monitoring how the different designs could affect the sound of the instrument. I went all out on the project. I bought 3 different sets of strings. My dad dropped nearly $100 on a piece of recording equipment that allowed me to plug my bass into my laptop and record the audio in Audacity. I compared sound wave graphs to each other to show how different strings produced different tones. For the actual fair I had 2 boards. One with my research and one with the strings threaded through it so people could feel them and notice the differences. I set up 2 laptops so people could listen to the audio I recorded and brought 2 basses and an amp just to add something to the presentation. Not to mention the huge paper we had to write to accompany it all. I got a B. Didn't even place in the actual fair. First place went to a kid who left a bunch of coffee filters out and let mold grow on them. I never tried that hard on any project ever again. It still makes me cringe thinking how much time and money went into that for basically nothing. When I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, my boss suggested I read this. I said, "Do you really think I need a book to tell me how to not give a fuck?" He said no. But I needed to work on the subtlety part. Fair enough. Quite recently actually, why should I tolerate people that walk over me and make me feel crazy for standing up for myself? Fuck that. I am with you right here. I have been actively making the effort into applying better boundaries for my mental, emotional health. When I do, those who are affected tend to put me down and call names like spoiled, ungrateful, or a bitch. Is it wrong for me to choose happiness over the appearance of friendship? I think the fuck not. I decided this year that I'd stop taking shit from people. Not so much a New Year's resolution. But close enough. I'd had enough of being walked over, talked to condescendingly, generally brushed off. I've already pissed off a lot of people and cut off several others. But I suppose in the end my life will be better for it. This is a good mentality, but don't get too self-righteous that you push away the actual friends too. I feel like some of my friends who I don't hang out with as much have done this cutting off thing, and it just ended our friendship instead of making it better. Maybe I'm the problem, but I can't spend time with infinite people. Just because someone isn't there all the time doesn't mean they don't still care about you and such. I realized I had a finite amount of fucks to offer. I decided to use them sparingly. There are many instances where I either don't give a fuck, or I decide I must stop offering them before I run out. Admittedly, I give a fuck more often than I should. I'm working on it. Note, I'm going to take from this context that giving a fuck means caring about something, not offering sex. No joke. I used to be so paranoid about what people thought of me, relating back to PTSD, that I would try to please everyone I ever met. Me and my partner then decided to have a kid, and a couple months after trying I finally got pregnant. And it all just changed after that. 15 weeks in, I was working at a grocery store and a woman, white, was trying to buy alcohol and was pissed I was trying to card her friend, black, which is not only our store policy but the law where I live. She was screaming how I was racist, my partner is black and I was carrying his kid at the time, and telling my manager I needed to be fired while the guy she was with was trying to calm her down and make her leave. We stood there for at least 5 minutes as my coworkers were trying to explain to her that I was pregnant and prone to panic attacks, and she kept screaming about how she had 4 kids. I needed to stop being a bitch. And stop fucking crying. My manager tried to force me to sell the alcohol, against the law here and against my contract, so I yelled right in this woman's face, "Fuck this," and took all the coins she was paying for her alcohol bottle. Chucked them right in her face. Clocked out and just left. Scared all of my coworkers when I got back in touch with them, and some of my regulars were there to see it all and were trying to get me my job back. Didn't want to go back. After that, I've had the easiest time telling people no and to fuck off. I even do it for other people when they can't do it themselves. One of the best things I've ever learned to forget. We are literally all just a bunch of animals living and walking around on a big ass rock, and we are all going to die. You reading this are going to die. Your body is going to rot. And eventually most people will forget about you. Just like with everybody else. When you look at life in such a way, it's kind of liberating to think about. Life is meaningless and incredibly meaningful at the same time. Life is short and also the longest thing you'll ever get to experience. The way you see it impacts how you feel about it and how you live it. The way I see it is there's other ways to use your energy while you're still alive than to waste it by giving so many fucking fucks. You do you for you. Nobody else. Edit, of course it's necessary to leave some room for the compassion to give fucks about others too. Like close family, friends, people in need, etc. But in your case, no one's life and happiness is as precious as your own. It's important to prioritize that. I had a pretty bad year and it made me appreciate the time I have left. But it also made me stop caring about what happens around me. I just want to travel and fuck, to be honest. After having the world in my hands and everything I had ever wanted, I watched how easily it can all slip away, and there is nothing I could do to stop it. I could spend the rest of my life trying to gather the pieces to get back to where I was before. But I will probably never be that happy again. Hard to care when the best reasonable outcome is to still be worse off than before with more work. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.